Airlines, Ethiopia lashed out e-resolution on Tigray as ultimately untimely and politically motivated. Ethiopia says EU-led negotiations on GERD, important vehicle to address each party's concern. And Ethiopia already settled for second round of COVID-19 vaccinations across the nation. Those are the major headlines of the news package in this edition. Hello and welcome to Addis News Hour. I'm Daniel Kasahun with the news. Ethiopia has lashed out the European Union resolution on the situation of human rights in Tigray state as ultimately untimely and politically motivated. The Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has openly condemned the Council resolution in an official statement. Demis Mokriao has a full account.
The government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia expresses its disappointment at the resolution by the European Union on the situation of human rights in Tigray, adopted at the 47th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council. It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has agreed to the deployment of the joint investigation team, composed of the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission and Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, to inquire into human rights violations allegedly committed during the crisis in Tigray. The joint team has commenced its investigation in May this year and is expected to finalize its work in August 2021. In addition, investigations are being expanded in scope by coordinating the effort of the military justice system, regional law enforcement authorities, and federal investigators and prosecutors. Since the proposal was put forth by the European Union at the 47th session of the Human Rights Council, the government of Ethiopia has been appealing for the withdrawal of the resolution on the premise that, first, it is premature, and second, it interferes with and undermines the integrity of the ongoing joint investigations. It has made its case clear before the Council and pleaded for the investigation to run its course and called on the august body to provide the necessary time and space for the investigations to be completed. All its efforts, however, were to no avail, and in its view, there is no moral nor legal ground to justify the untimely adoption of a politically motivated resolution. Constructive engagement rather than a hasty decision by the Council would have contributed to expeditiously bring the ongoing effort to a successful conclusion. For these reasons, Ethiopia rejects this resolution. Let it be known that those who are involved in committing crimes will be brought to justice and punished to the full extent of the law. The government of Ethiopia once again reiterates its commitment to fulfill its national and international human rights obligations. Spokesperson Office, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, 30th July 2021.
Evidence that depict the deployment of children in war by the terrorist TPLF are being revealed. This according to media reports. It's indicated that the TPLF has now been making futile attempts to reverse the defeat that it encountered during the law enforcement operation by recruiting children. The group is trying to bounce back from the defeat it has witnessed since its heinous act on the Northern Command stationed in Tigray by sacrificing innocent kids. The New York Times has revealed a report that depicts the activities of the terrorist TPLF to forcefully recruit, train, and deploy children into war against the International War Convention. According to the evidences, the actions of the group are intentional war crime. The latest picture revealed from the New York Times depicts children, including very little kids, carrying weapons. This also clearly demonstrates the fact that the group has been engaged in acts of terrorism. That's according to the Ethiopian news agency.
For thousands of years, the peoples of the Horn of Africa have revered the mighty Nile. Its spiritual significance to these lands has been enshrined in poetry, music, and spoken word for time immemorial. And in a land that is holy to Christians and Muslims and followers of many faiths, these waters hold a place in the hearts of millions of Africans. And in all this time, the waters have flowed with only a dream of being able to harness and help bring millions of women, children, and men out from darkness. Today, a new dawn is upon us, when a continent can rejoice in unison. The grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam stands as a beacon of hope for all Africans. The use of a hydroelectric dam which does not consume the water, but rather allows it to continue its flow to our brothers and sisters in Sudan and Egypt, will finally allow the lights to turn on in all of the African Nile Basin countries. Since the dawn of time, Ethiopia, who contributes 80% plus of the waters, has used 0%. Today, more than 60% of Ethiopians do not have access to basic electricity. Ethiopia has watched as her soil and minerals be swept away to irrigate the cotton farms of Egypt, while her mothers still carry firewood upon their backs and sit in darkness. The time for a fair and equitable share of the Nile is now. The time for all 11 African nations who feed the Nile to share in its life-giving potential is now. This is truly a dam of inclusivity, of kindness, and of shared prosperity. Light, energy, education, food security, and a chance for prosperity for millions. This is Africa's dam. This is our dam. This is my dam.
You're watching the live transmission of Addis News Hour. The Ethiopian Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, Dr. Engineer Sleshi Bekele, met with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres to discuss the Grand Renaissance Dam on Monday. During the meeting, Sleshi briefed Guterres about the construction stage of GERD, the second-year filling, and the AU-led negotiation between Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan. Sleshi has also clarified to the General Secretary Ethiopia's position on the outstanding technical and legal issues to conclude the rules and guidelines of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Ethiopia is committed to bringing the AU-led trilateral process on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD to a successful conclusion, aiming to reach a mutually acceptable outcome. This, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In its statement issued yesterday, the ministry stated that the AU-led process is an important vehicle to address each party's concern. The trilateral negotiations on GERD have been underway to reach an outcome on the first filling and annual operation of the GERD as per Declaration of Principles. It's regrettable, however, to witness that the progress of the negotiations has been dragged and politicized. Ethiopia has made its position clear time and again that this is unproductive, and bringing the subject matter to the United Nations Security Council was and is unhelpful and far from the mandate of the Council. The Minister of Agriculture says the ongoing massive tree planting campaign in different parts of the country is instrumental for Ethiopia's flagship project, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. To plant trees is to protect the GERD from unnecessary sedimentation, underscored the state's Minister of Agriculture, Sani Radi, while launching the national tree planting campaign in the state of Benshangul Gumuz. Allah Teklemariam has more.
Preventing flooding, food insecurity, environment-related conflicts and other adverse effects are in the hands of Ethiopians, said Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in his call for the Green Legacy Initiative, calling on all Ethiopians to adorn and cover Ethiopia green. The country aims to plant 20 billion trees by 2022, and in this rainy season only, efforts are underway to plant over 6 billion trees. launching the third national tree planting campaign in Benshangul Gumuz region. State Minister of Agriculture Seni Reddy said the ongoing massive tree planting would help sustain the Gurda's welfare, protecting it from sedimentation.
Out of the 6 billion tree seedlings to be planted this rainy season, the Oromia region will plant over 2.4 billion trees in the Abai watershed. The Amara region will also plant more than 1.6 billion trees in the Abai watershed too. Other regional states will do the same to help protect the Gurd from sedimentation. It shall also help increase its water amount in the reservoir.
Asharli Hassan, chief of the Benshangul Gumuz state, to his part stressed the need to raise domestic fruits, calling the public to prioritize them while planting.
We are focusing on trees that have economic importance. On top of this, we can ensure multifaceted advantages from ensuring food safety to protecting our environment. Benshangul Gumuz is, for instance, well known for its mango production. We thus want to maximize it to the highest level.
Participants also expressed the need to protect the tree seedlings after planting them.
I
personally understand the environment and economic importance of tree planting, so such initiatives have to be intensified. Furthermore, we need to cultivate them until they grow well.
This year, the campaign is also going regional, and an additional 1 billion seedlings will be sent to neighboring countries to start a regional effort towards a green Africa.
Ethiopia is building the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, on the Nile. GERD will be the 8th largest in the world. Here's why everyone needs to support GERD. First, the filling of the dam is conducted only during heavy rainfall months of July and August, so the dam does not reduce water availability downstream. Second, GERD offers many benefits to Egypt and Sudan, including reduction in floods and evaporation losses. Third, Ethiopia is building this $5 billion dam using its own money. Fourth, GERD brings some fairness to Ethiopia. Ethiopia provides 85% of the Nile's waters, but receives nothing. Egypt contributes 0% but has received the lion's share of it. Last but not least, GERD will pull millions out of poverty. GERD will ensure that Ethiopia will meet the UN's development goal on energy. For those reasons, GERD is a project everyone needs to support. Ethiopia is building the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, on the Nile. GERD will be the 8th largest in the world. Here's why everyone needs to support GERD. First, the filling of the dam is conducted only during heavy rainfall months of July and August, so the dam does not reduce water availability downstream. Second, GERD offers many benefits to Egypt and Sudan.
It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has declared a unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray to allow access for humanitarian assistance and to give some time for thinking. But latest reports showed that conflict is still ongoing in the region following the rejection of the ceasefire by the TPLF. And to tell us more about this, we are joined here at the studio by Alamayo Areda, a well-known politician in this country. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The TPLF has rejected the ceasefire from the very beginning and continues with its belligerence for another war. And it's now claiming a military advancement in some war fronts in the region. What is your personal observation about this incident?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very pertinent question. The TPLF, as you might very well know, has no any intention of giving some space for the Tigrayan people to do their work during the summertime, which the government has recognized very well. So it has to go on fighting. It has to continue in some way, in any different way. It has to continue fighting to get some kind of recognition. And it does this because it has some support, some implicit support from the international community, especially the European and American states. So, mind you, it is not ruling currently, even though some people in the West call it Tigray Defense Force. It's not actually an actual defense force. It's just creating some kind of nuisance around the border areas with the Amhara regional states, so that to pull in the federal forces into Tigray, and then somehow encourage the people or force the people to fight, to do its fighting on behalf of the TPLF, to do its fighting with the federal government, so that the relationship between the Ethiopian government and the Tigrayan people, and especially the relationship between the other Ethiopians and the Tigrayan people, is severed very strongly. That is the way the TPLF can exist. So it cannot exist otherwise.
What do you comment on its advancements in the military action?
The military action is not actually a big military action. It is some kind of disturbance here and there, creating some kind of, mind you, it is being conducted through killing innocent people in the Raya area, especially Raya Azavo area. And now currently they are occupying the Alamata region. Not because it defeated the fight there, but the federal army somehow accompanied the Amhara militia to get out of the area. So it is claiming a big victory, but that's not a big victory.
If the TPLF continues with its plan, what potential conflict do you see?
It will be a very consequential conflict between the Amhara region and the TPLF remnants, unless otherwise the federal army somehow tries to accommodate the Tigrayan fighters within the territories they should be. Or, mind you, the ceasefire is temporary. It's just done to give some space to the Tigrayan farmers. If this is going to continue, sustain indefinitely, I mean the fight the TPLF creating now in the border areas, definitely the federal army is going to go in, and it will be very bad.
But I don't say it will not be an easy intervention.
It can't be easy. Never. Anything, mind you, anything related to the Tigrayan conflict is not easy at all. It's not easy.
All right. What's your possible recommendation to address this issue?
The possible recommendation, Ethiopia has to work diplomatically to isolate the TPLF from the kind of support it is getting from the State Department, the United States State Department, and the European Union. It should emphatically stand with its truth and tell all those implicit supporters that the TPLF is bringing some kind of havoc to the Tigrayan people.
But
and it should also...
It's too late for Ethiopia to do so, to make a diplomatic intervention.
I don't think it is. Mind you, in the diplomatic world, nothing is too late unless everything is finished. No, it is not. Mm-hmm. Mind you, currently there are some signs where the support provided by the international community, especially the US State Department and the European Union, is somehow splitting into two. Mm-hmm. Some support to the Ethiopian government because of the ceasefire, and some implicit support to the TPLF to somehow corner the Ethiopian government.
So are you recommending strengthening this?
Yeah, careful handling of this situation is very important.
Okay.
You see, at the end of the day, there are people on the other side. There are the Tigrayan people. They have been sandwiched. That's what I feel. You see, some people may think that the Tigrayan people are already converted into a kind of TPLF stooge. No. The Tigrayan people are sandwiched. So this government has a responsibility of protecting the interests of the Tigrayan people. So it has to handle it very carefully. And the Amhara politicians also have to calm down a little bit. You see, to somehow keep the TPLF from invading too much areas, maybe is very important. But to go as far as destroying the whole ceasefire concept is not good.
That's fine. You're recommending that the Ethiopian government should strengthen its diplomatic efforts.
Yes, and at the same time should keep at least the border areas somehow protected from these pertinent invasions.
Okay, let's come to the GERD issue.
Yeah.
Recently, Ethiopia has won diplomatic gains in the United Nations Security Council meeting. And also, the United States is also advising the three countries, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan, to go to the African Union and to pursue their negotiation. What do you recommend on these issues?
First, you see, the diplomatic victory Ethiopia gained should very much be emphasized in relation to the African support. The African Union gave Ethiopia its unconditional support in this regard. The support we are getting from the riparian countries in countries which are around Ethiopia is very important, mind you, because if the other countries like in Europe and the United States want to dismantle or to disturb Ethiopia with excuses from the GERD, they have to use these surrogate areas to come into Ethiopia. But now that area is closed. Two, the victory is not also absolute, because the Egyptians and the Sudanese are not yet sitting
comfortable
down.
With
they are not sitting down, because the Egyptian foreign ministry is discussing the issue with the European Union and NATO countries currently. We don't know what they're talking. And the Sudanese government, the military wing, is also contemplating about some kind of military action. So, yes, it is a diplomatic victory, but it has to be cautiously observed, cautiously attended to.
Thank you, Dr. Alamayo Reda, for your candid explanation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Renowned politician lauded the 6th general election and it is overall peaceful process. The politician Galasa Dilbo, a former OLF leader who has won a seat in the state of Oromia for parliament as an independent candidate, and Kajela Mardasa, a leader of another faction of the OLF, further urged the government to establish a new administration reflecting the needs of the society. Kasaun Chane has compiled the story as follows.
Recently, Ethiopia has conducted a historic election, planting a seeds of democracy. Many agreed that the overall process was peaceful and credible. According to Kajala, Ethiopians with calm determination voted for unity, peace and development to win the 6th general election, noting his party had lost the opportunity because of some internal problems.
As OLF, we didn't participate in the election because of our internal problems. And of course, there are other external problems also. That was the deficiency on this election, especially in the region of Oromia. We could have played our role in this election. Unfortunately, we lost the opportunity because of our problems and some external pressures. In general, we were watching out about this election, the election campaign, the registration, candidate registration, voter registrations, and all the process of the elections. It was a peaceful election.
An independent with a seat in the upcoming new parliament from the state of Oromia, Galasa Dilbo on his part stated that the election has established a notion of governance by the vote of the people. From him, good governance, peace and order as well as all-round development are topmost priorities.
This sixth election compared to the previous fifth election, according to my judgment, is a better one. Better one in a sense. The previous ones are marred with unnecessary involvement from the government that goes to the extent of violence and vote suppression. All parties that participated in the election can present their complaint through due legal process and get a fair hearing and a fair judgment.
Galasa expressed hopes that the post-election period would be peaceful when the people will stand united, aspiring for the prosperity of the country.
The government, that means the party that came to power or being elected, should, as much as possible, try to address the issues or the agendas that it outlined for himself to address, to respond to the demand of the people. In general, my view is this election as stepping stone to better election in the future, and it can help us a learning process for us and for the people.
The politicians also underscored that a perfect election is only ideal, but a much better approach is to minimize irregularities as much as possible, especially considering the fact that the country failed miserably in the past elections.
I'm going to go there. ልክ እዚህ ሰዎች ሲደርሱ ጦርነትን ያሸነፈ ያህል ነው ስሜት የሚሰማቸው በጣም በከፍተኛ ሁኔታ ድከሙም ምኑም ረስተውት ያሸናፊነት ስሜት የሚሰማቸው ቦታ ነው።
You are watching the live transmission of this news hour. The Ministry of Health says it has imported close to 400,000 AstraZeneca doses as part of the second round COVID-19 vaccination campaigns across the country. Briefing journalists yesterday, the Minister, Leah Tadesse, has also voiced concern that a third wave of COVID-19 could pose a threat to Ethiopia. Habtam Shagri reports.
An outer envelope allows the virus to infect cells by merging with the cell's outer membrane.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a continental threat, with over 4 million people having succumbed to this pandemic. The numbers of new cases and new COVID-19 genesis have also spread in various countries. According to Leah, the Ministry of Health and other partners have distributed COVID-19 vaccine to prioritized and exposed community segments across the country. As part of this move, Ethiopia has imported close to 400,000 AstraZeneca doses to conduct the second round COVID-19 vaccination campaign across the country.
We have delivered more than 2 million doses of AstraZeneca first dose vaccine to priority populations based on the susceptibility for severe disease, which is healthcare workers, age above 65 for all the community, and for those with chronic illnesses above age above 50 to 65, 55 to 64. So for this community, since we have been waiting for the second dose, which was delayed due to the shortage that has happened globally, but we are happy to announce that we have received 400,000 doses just a few days ago of AstraZeneca vaccine, which is now being distributed to all the regions by our Ethiopian Pharmaceutical Supply Agency.
The ministry has called upon the exposed community segments to take the COVID-19 vaccines. The ministry has also allocated Sinopharm doses. Regarding the genomic COVID-19 status, Leah pointed the ministry confirmed alpha and beta COVID-19 genesis have been found in Ethiopia. Further investigation is well underway to identify Delta COVID-19 in Ethiopia.
We had started doing the testing of the genomic sequencing in our Ethiopian Public Health Institute and our Armand Hansen Research Institute. And based on the previous testings that have been done, we have identified the alpha and beta genomes has already been detected in Ethiopia. Regarding the Delta genome sequencing, we have recently started the process of collecting the samples to do the testing, and we're enhancing this capacity in collaboration with Public Health England, with partnership with EPHI, and we will announce once we get the results of the Delta variants. But one of the major communications we wanted to convey to the community is that given the extensive distribution or detection of this variant in many countries already, we anticipate it may be already in Ethiopia.
Leah calls upon all Ethiopians to implement the precautionary measures approved by the World Health Organization to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic.
We need to strengthen our prevention measures and non-pharmaceutical interventions of wearing masks, hand hygiene and social distancing as more than ever before, as we are still in a pandemic, and even if the cases seem to be lower when you compare it to previous times or other countries, we are in a very risky time where a third wave is happening in different countries, neighboring countries as well. So we have to really ensure that these are strengthened at all times in the country.
Information obtained from the ministry is showing over 4,340 Ethiopians have died and over 277,137 have also contracted the pandemic.